The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads.
Lightning the fast lane.
Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
And why? And he supports it, yes.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. The American people are just sick and tired of every one of you, both Republicans and Democrats, come to this podium and blame the other side. People have been standing in lines 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. There's TSA workers that are selling their plasma. At what point is a leader on either side going to stand up and say, we have a path forward that everyone will agree to? This vote today will extend the shutdown under any circumstance.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
And
Thank you. Let me answer the question. I'm glad you brought it up. The House Republicans have now voted that today will be the 4th time to fund the Homeland Security. This is not party blame game. This is a record. You can hold up the record. Look at the Democrats. They're voting over and over. Yesterday afternoon, we gave them a chance to fund Homeland Security. You know how many House Democrats voted yes? 4 of them. They want to use people as pawns. People are not pawns. These are workers who are sacrificially serving the country, many of them without pay, to make sure that you and your families are safe. And we're done with it. This is not a political blame game. This is one party doing the job and getting the government funded and another that's using people as pawns. We're not going to do that. Listen, we're going to send it over there, and you can see what they do. If this is not USEED and they don't do it, the president has shown leadership. He's going to fund TSA agents. We'll get that covered. But we have the rest of the country to take care of. We're not asking them to do anything heroic. These aren't partisan games. We're not adding bells and whistles to this. It is a clean continuation of funding to make sure that the most basic responsibility of government is fulfilled. And we'll see how that goes in City Hall.
Welcome, my friends, to the already It's Friday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. That reporter, both sides do it. Well, no, that's not what's going on here. We will get to that. I misread it. I'm going to just admit it. I misread everything this morning because the details, as they say, the devil is in the details. So Democrats come up with this bill and Republicans sign on 2 a.m. in the morning, and it says pretty much, well, we'll kick the can down the road on ICE and border. And okay, they didn't kick the can down the road. They defunded them. They would defund operations at the border. It's back to open borders again. And that I found, so no, this is not anything what it appeared to be. At first I thought, okay, Democrats caved because they're not demanding the reforms at ICE in this one. By the way, they're now on record saying that they will sign something that doesn't have those crazy ask that ICE take off masks and do all this other stuff. Anyway, welcome, my friends. Before we get to all of that, I want to spend a few minutes in the beginning of this program in memory of Richard Williams. And we'll get back to it. Richard Williams. Who is Richard Williams, you say, or you ask? Maybe. Who is Richard Williams? Richard Williams was an 83-year-old man. He was a veteran of the United States military. Richard Williams passed away during the overnight hours, the morning hours. He passed away. He was shoved on the subway tracks in New York City by a 30-year-old man named Barrion Hernandez on March 10th, and he has lingered since then. The 34-year-old Brooklyn resident, according to the Associated Press, Barrion Hernandez, the 34-year-old Brooklyn resident, was initially charged with attempted murder, assault, and other crimes, but in light of Williams' death, those charges have been upgraded to murder. He is not a 34-year-old Brooklyn resident. He was a 34-year-old illegal alien in America who has been deported 4 previous times. And thanks to Democrat policies, thanks to the sanctuary policies of New York City and New York State, thanks to Kathy Hochul, thanks to Mondami, thanks to Adams before him, thanks to de Blasio before him, he was still in New York. He's from Honduras. He's been deported 4 times since he came to the country first illegally in 2008. He has a lengthy criminal history, 15 prior charges. Simple assault, domestic violence, obstruction of police, possession of a weapon, drug possession, aggravated assault. And yet he's wandering around the streets of New York. Thank you, Democrat Party. Thank you, progressive Democrats. Thank you, Democrats on the city council. Thank you, Democrats everywhere. People get murdered by illegal aliens because of your policy, and you don't care. You don't apologize. You don't say one word about it. He was in a subway on Lexington and 63rd. Lexington and 63rd is supposed to be, yes, it's a great neighborhood. You're in the Upper East Side. You're supposed to, it's not like some of the other neighborhoods. People used to go here to shop. I don't want to mention a particular store, but a store that was very, very popular for their high-end retail goods. From all over the city they'd come, and from parts elsewhere. At this very subway station, that this 83-year-old man minding his business, this 83-year-old veteran of the military, Richard Williams, minding his business, when a man he doesn't know shoves him from behind onto the subway tracks. It turns out the man has been deported from the United States of America on 4 previous occasions. He's enjoying the sanctuary that the Democrat Party gives him in New York and commits murder. A deputy assistant for the DHS said he should have never been able to walk our streets and harm innocent Americans. Of course not. Of course he shouldn't. But he is. Like so many others. While Democrats play games with Homeland Security. All right. House Democrats appear ready to back this garbage that came over from the Senate at 2 a.m. in the morning, and then John Thune was shown in a video with an escort getting out of, a travel escort. They're not supposed to. So I guess getting out of Dodge. Yeah, not one of those escorts. Travel escort. Security. So security's closed for most of the country because Democrats shut it down, but senators still have their private security, apparently. By the way, Tiger Woods has been involved in a rollover crash, apparently. And, man, this poor guy, this guy goes through it's just one thing after another with Tiger Woods. If we get anything on that, let me know. If we get any status reports on how Tiger Woods is doing, hopefully, God willing, he's not hurt badly. Democrats, in this story that was published this morning, are still crunching the details. But it looked very much like a proposal that was sponsored by Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut to fund most of DHS but to shut down, defund ICE and U.S. Customs Border Protection. And Speaker Johnson has about had it. That clip I sent you, Carlos, that Speaker Johnson clip, let's play that one right now. You already heard Johnson's reaction, Speaker Johnson, to a reporter that tries to do the both sides now game. It's both sides now. But the Speaker had some words to say about this proposal. Well, no, that came through the Senate. And here it is.
This has to stop. The Republicans are not going to be a party to this. They have taken hostage the funding processes of government so that they can impose their radical agenda on the American people when we can't have any part of it. This gambit that was done last night is a joke. I'm quite convinced that it can't be that every Senate Republican read the language of this bill, and I'm going to just read you one excerpt of it because it's pretty alarming, and it says everything that you need to know in Section 4. This is on page 2 of the bill. This is an actual copy of the bill. That excerpt. It says, quote, "The contents printed under the headings of this bill, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Border Security Operations, under the heading of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol and Protection, shall have no force or effect for purposes of this Act, and amounts specified in the final bill under the subheading Border Security Operations and under the heading U.S. Customs and Border Protection and under the headings of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the Department of Homeland Security shall be zero." We're not doing that. And it is unconscionable to me that the Democrats would force some sort of negotiation at 3 o'clock in the morning and try to hoist this upon the American people and then get on their jets and go home for their holiday and pretend and think that we're going to go along with that.
Now, if you didn't follow that language, the chairwoman there, Republican Lisa McClain, Representative Lisa McClain, explained it a little bit more clearer than the language. By the way, you want to know why people don't read language that are not lawyers? Because they don't understand the crap. Anybody that's not a lawyer, you explain to me what that said. You get lost in the language. Anyway, here we go with Representative Lisa McClain, who explains it.
Hello, everyone. Congresswoman Lisa McClain here. I want to set the record straight on what the bill that the Senate sent over to us last night includes, or I should say doesn't include. And I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm going to read it right from page 3 of the actual bill that the Senate sent over to us in the middle of the night. And I quote, "U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the Department of Homeland Security Act 2026 table shall be zero." What that means is zero funding for border security. Zero. What the Democrats want is an open border policy like we had under Biden, and I absolutely will not accept that and will not vote for that. That's why we're not taking up the Senate bill.
Okay, now here's the part that gets interesting. Interesting. Folks, Democrats want this. If this bill goes to the House floor and all the Democrats say, yep, let's do this to end the shutdown, and you have 4 or 5 straggly Republicans that vote with them, this thing could pass. With Democrat votes and a few rhino Republicans. This thing needs to never see the light of day on the House floor. James Golden, Snerdley here. Let's do some music. Brighten up the life around here. James Golden, Snerdley, don't go away. Coming right back.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Ladies and gentlemen, those of us that have been listening to Democrats for years and years and years talk about immigration, maybe with the exception of John Fetterman, you think that there's not a single Democrat in America who actually gets it with illegal immigrants. There are. Especially, I found this surprising. He comes from Chicago. His name is Raymond Lopez. He is a Chicago Democrat. He is an alderman in Chicago. Listen to Alderman Raymond Lopez, Democrat from Chicago.
I'm not a rabid Trump supporter or hater. But if you're going to blame the federal government, then blame it where this problem began, which was under the Biden-Harris administration that allowed 15 million people from South America, Central America, and across the oceans to come through our southern borders, manipulate asylum, be poorly vetted, and then scattered to the 7 winds of the United States. That's where this problem started, and I have yet to hear a single Democrat hold Biden and Harris accountable for what has happened, because they knew who they were allowing in, they have their information, they vetted them poorly and still let them go even when they were criminals. And to say it's Donald Trump's fault simply because we refuse to work with them to go after those high priority targets. There are 2,000 priority targets in the city of Chicago right now who we know are dangers, courtesy of the Biden-Harris administration that vetted them, but we will not allow the Trump administration to remove them simply because we don't want to look as though we're capitulating to him.
That is stunning. Coming from a Democrat. I'm going to play that again tomorrow. God willing, we are all here for the Saturday morning extravaganza, because this is something we don't hear. We know Democrats know the truth. Here is one that actually is standing up. Well, he was sitting down, but saying it. We're coming back. Do not go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
James Golden, Snerdley, here with you. Those of you that will be watching March Sadness, I agree with you. Now, Stephen Miller and Vice President Vance were at an affair at the White House today. The clip is 4 minutes. I dread playing it because it would take up most of the time we have left here. But I think it's important because they're talking about the fraud. This is the task force with fraud. Folks, what they had to say was pretty incredible. So let's spend a few minutes with it, shall we? First, J.D. Vance, cut 7, announcing the fraud the fraud task force.
Here's the basic problem that we've had in this government going back for probably 30 or 40 years. Is that you've never had an administration that has really taken this seriously until the president put us really from day one of the Trump administration, who said we have to take the fraud issue seriously. And a lot of the anti-fraud protections that existed in our government for a very long time were actually turned off by the Biden administration. So we think fraud has been a problem for a long time. It became a massive, massive problem under the Biden administration. We're going to do a number of things. First of all, we're going to turn back on those anti-fraud protections so that all of these cabinet officials are looking at what's going on and focusing on it. The second thing is that we're going to take a whole of government approach. So much of what's going to make the anti-fraud task force work is that we're communicating across different departments. So when Bobby Kennedy is talking to Scott Bessent about things that he's seeing in Medicare and Medicaid, when Scott is seeing things at Treasury, when Brooke is seeing things at Agriculture, when Scott is seeing things at Housing and Urban Development, what we're going to actually do is force the bureaucracy to take this seriously and work together as political principles to make sure that we stop allowing fraudsters to steal the American people's money.
Now, that sounds well and good. Let's get into, if there is a man, let's get into specifics. If there is a man that is hated by the left as much as Trump is, and man, I tell you what, you can see, you know what TDS is all about. They hate Stephen Miller. They hate him. And I saw someone posted today, wouldn't Stephen Miller be a great president? I thought to myself, man, if he ran, I would just love to see what that kind of campaign would look like. Anyway, this is Stephen Miller, who is also tasked with J.D. Vance in this entire effort to stop fraud in America. Cut 9. Here is Stephen Miller.
Thank you to the Vice President for your leadership in establishing this task force and for gathering us all here today. And I have some personal behind-the-scenes experience with talking to the Vice President and seeing how resolutely determined he was at the very first exposure of some of these shocking discoveries to create, establish, and launch this task force. And if you knew what I knew about the people at this table, you would understand just how committed this government, this administration is to ending this massive theft of American taxpayer dollars. The people at this table are all united in absolute determination to stop this plague of fraud, criminality, and abuse. I think what's important for Americans to understand about how pervasive and widespread the fraud is that all of our systems were set up and established for a high-trust society. I think that most citizens probably assume that there's some verification process that takes place for the receipt of most federal benefits.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The reality is that there is not. This is particularly true in blue states, willfully true in blue states, in which all of these programs are operated entirely on the honor system. No verification takes place before individuals are enrolled in or receive these benefits. So as a simple example, if you're a Somali refugee living in Minnesota, you could lie about how many children you have. You could lie about what your immigration status is. You could lie about your marital status. You could lie about child care. You could lie about disability. You could lie about all these things and many more. And nobody in the state of Minnesota would validate any of these facts before writing you a check. We at the federal government are simply sent a bill from the state of Minnesota for the cost of providing these services in the aggregate. So to take the food stamp program as an example, SNAP, and that, of course, is administered by Secretary Rollins, we do not know the names of any SNAP recipient in the state of Minnesota. We just get a blank check. We have asked the state repeatedly and tried to compel the state unsuccessfully to turn over their SNAP enrollment rolls so we could ascertain such basic facts as, are these people even legally eligible to receive these benefits? And the state has refused. Absolutely, categorically refused. And in fact, the state has spent millions of dollars in court for the singular purpose of trying to prevent the state from ascertaining the identity of a single SNAP recipient in the entire state of Minnesota. Think about what this does to public trust, social trust, people's faith in the system. Right? Imagine in a community, a working class community in the Twin Cities, say a native Minnesotan who works as a lineman or works as a construction worker, works in any job that requires hard work, dedication, focus, who's worried about his ability to support for and provide his family. And then imagine that he has a neighbor who's a Somali refugee who arrived 2 years ago and has a Mercedes and no financial stress and no worries at all in the entire world and never seems to ever go to work at all because he just went to an office in the state, lied on a piece of paper, and got unlimited free money forever for life. That is the system that is being run, and that is the corruption that this task force, under the leadership of the Vice President, is going to demolish. And I'll just conclude by saying that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the atrocity that is taking place in Congress with congressional Democrats fighting relentlessly to abolish the very federal agencies that are responsible for policing and investigating fraud as well as all matters of homeland and national security. I see, of course, a new secretary who has just been confirmed to DHS, my good friend, Mark Wayne Mullen. He now takes command of a department whose men and women have been working without pay for weeks on end to protect and defend the American people, to protect and defend our coastlines, to protect and defend our families. Well, they've been treated with nothing but derision, hatred, and contempt by congressional Democrats. It is legislative terrorism. It is one of the greatest abominations that has ever occurred in the history of this country, and it's to the everlasting and eternal shame of the Democrat Party. Again, thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your leadership and vision in establishing this task force. I'm proud to serve under your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was some powerful stuff there. Now, when I first heard it, I said, okay, the Somalis. Look, folks, it is not just the Somalis. And I just need to point that out. You know, it's not just the Somalis. This fraud is pervasive. Especially in blue states and blue cities. They're fighting to keep the information. Imagine this. They fight to keep secret their voter rolls because they don't want you to know. They don't want anybody digging into their voter rolls on blue states. They fight to keep secret their welfare rolls because they don't want a good peek in at who they're throwing your taxpayer dollars to. Now, Tim Walz had some things to say about, Governor of Minnesota, cut 10. Let's just listen to the governor of the state of Minnesota.
While mental health challenges are individual, they're also collective. The trauma that we have all experienced together and are continuing to experience from what the federal government did to this state, we understand is going to take years of work to overcome. And the way we do that is by investing in the people and investing in the institutions and the programs that improve people's lives. And that's exactly what you're here today for.
So investing, what does that mean? Spending more taxpayer money. And they're traumatized. Why are they traumatized? Because they actually had some law enforcement. He doesn't mention a thing about the fraud. All it is even now, more money. And even now, Democrats are doing everything they can to protect illegal immigrants. This new governor that New Jersey has, Mickey Sherrill. Cut 12, Governor Mickey or Mikey or Mickey Mice, Mickey Sherrill.
I can't believe we have to say this, but in the United States of America, we're not going to tolerate masked roving militias pretending to be well-trained law enforcement agents.
That's from a woman that's pretending to be a good governor of the state. Meanwhile, wants to subject more of her state's citizens to possible attacks, murder, rape at the hands of illegal immigrants, but they want to protect the illegal immigrants in her state, pretending to be a good governor. Meanwhile, you have Ilhan Omar out there. Let's squeeze this in very quickly. Cuba is still facing a problem with this oil issue, and Ilhan is outraged. I tell you, outraged by what's happening in Cuba. Cut 14. Look no further. And here is Ms. Ilhan Omar.
Mr. Speaker, like many Americans, I am outraged by what Trump is doing to the Cuban people. The oil blockade enacted by the Trump administration is cruel and indefensible. Cuba poses no threat to us, yet we are strangling an entire nation with economic warfare. Families are going without food, water systems are failing, hospitals are struggling to stay open. These tactics are designed to suffocate an island into submission, and its civilians, ordinary Cuban men, women, and children, are paying the price. Make no mistake, this unconscionable suffering is occurring because Trump is trying to force regime change. Across our country and around the world, people are standing in solidarity with the Cuban people. They are calling for dignity, for humanity, for an end to this harm. Hands off Cuba, end the blockade now, and I yield back.
Hands off Cuba. The communist country that has, since they have been in power, done nothing to help the Cuban people. They're still driving around in cars from the 1950s. Their economy is in a shambles. And this woman, I stand in solidarity with the Cubans. Well, you can stand in solidarity all you want. Things are happening there that are beyond your control. And most of the Cuban people will be glad when that evil communist dictatorship that has laid waste to that island is finally gone. I understand I've been pronouncing the governor of New Jersey's name wrong. I've been calling him Mikey, whatever. It's Mikey or Mickey, Mikey. Mikey. Doesn't that sound like Mikey? Mikey Sherrill.
Mikey, Mickey? Sure.
Yeah, Mikey, Mickey, Mouse, Rat, Democrat. When I say rat, I mean like in Democrat, rat. I'm not calling her a name. I wouldn't do that. Oh, by the way, thank you, Debbie. Apparently, she wants me to know and to let you all know that the NCAA games, whatever that means, start at 7:10 p.m. Apparently, St. John's is playing somebody named Duke.
Yeah, we know, but my school plays at 10.
Oh, Iowa.
Iowa State.
So, whatever. Iowa State. So, who's considered the headline? The people that play in the beginning or the people that play late?
Everybody. It's everybody.
Everybody. Okay. And who's this person, Duke, that they're playing? The Duke of who?
It's a school from North Carolina. I believe so, yeah.
Oh.
Pretty good. Pretty good school.
Oh, like Duke University?
Yes.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'll be sure not to watch March Sadness games tonight, folks. James Golden, Snerdley. We'll be right back.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Bo Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Right.
Now, here's James Golden.
And Jonas is here, too. Jonas is another one. You said the top of who is what, and it's happening when?
Hold it. I never said I was a big college fan, but I did say Duke and St. John's is the game to watch if you're not into college.
Why would I want...
St. John's is the number 5 seed. Duke is number 1, so that's the top of the top as far as college basketball.
Wait a minute. Somebody that's number 5 is got the top seed. What does that say about seeds? I don't know. Seed. You know what I think of when I say seed? Oh, I can't tell you.
Oh.
Yeah. First of all, I never understood this stuff. Number 5 seed. What does that mean?
All right, so think of number 1 for Duke as the top record in music. Think of it that way. So you got the top team, top record, against the number 5 record, 5 team.
Well, then the number 1 should beat the number 5 because number 5 is in 5th place. So why would I want to watch a 5th place team?
Because you never know. These are our elite teams. It's top 5 going at it.
If they were elite teams, one would be number 1, and the rest, I don't understand. A number 5 is an elite.
You never know.
If you're in 5th place, you're not elite. We have to go. Jonas, thank you. The top seeds. When I think about seed, and let me tell you something, I'm not thinking about college basketball. I'm thinking about plants, flowers. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, you thought I was thinking about something else, didn't you? Dirty, I don't think about. Mariah Carey has a birthday today. Happy birthday to the great, wonderful singer, American singer, songwriter, actress, record producer, and entrepreneur, Mariah Carey. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, back in the morning for this Saturday morning extravaganza. Hope you're here. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?